About 3 million years ago, when early humans showed up, our protagonist was one of them. He seemed normal at first, he thought he was like everyone else. But he didn't age, he didn't weaken, and he didn't die. While everyone else aged and died, he stayed, hunting and fighting because that was all that gave him any joy. As time passed, his body kept changing, bigger, stronger, tougher. After nearly 3 million years of that, he was unmatched. People started calling him the god of earth, Mu. He took it further, beat every other god, and ended up the strongest in the divine realm. With no rivals left, the rush faded and boredom set in. One day, he stomped his foot, and the gods' entire divine realm trembled. Gods, angels, even the evil beings were terrified. It wasn't the first time he'd done it, and some gods were done with the daily quakes. Lucifer, the second-ranked god among them. Mu didn't care, still stuck on the same thought. He'd beaten every worthy opponent without breaking a sweat, and it had been over 1,000 years since anyone could push him. He sighed and said, being too strong is a problem too. Then it clicked. If strength was the problem, he'd fix it by getting weaker. In an earthling body, he'd have hundreds to fight again. He jumped up and yelled, Yang Yang. A massive dragon appeared overhead, didn't seem too thrilled to be summoned, and slammed down in front of him, towering many times taller than Mu's throne. It looked annoyed. This was the top god's assistant, Yang Yang. It asked why it had been called, and to its surprise, God Mu just starts walking off and tells him to handle things while he's gone. Yang Yang fires off a spell, Binding of the Absolute, and chains Mu to stop him. Mu only turns and gives him a cold side glance, and Yang Yang immediately shrinks, stammering that he meant no disrespect, but Mu should at least explain, especially with a gods meeting coming up. Mu doesn't care about the meeting, and keeps walking, dragging Yang Yang along by the chains like they're nothing. Seeing that won't work, Yang Yang switches tactics, playing the victim, and says if Mu skips the meeting, he'll be the one stuck hearing all the other gods complain about him. Mu snaps the binding, turns, and yells that he's not going there unless Yang Yang agrees to fight him right now. Yang Yang backs off in a heartbeat, decides the complaints are better than getting shredded, and wishes Mu a quick, safe trip. Mu walks up to a small earth floating nearby and touches it. He needs a body to enter, so he listens in on the messages people are sending to the gods. Most are trivial, but one person flat out questions his existence. It surprises him at first, then he decides that he is the perfect choice. For the first time in 1,000 years, Mu actually looks excited. He finally has something to do. Yang Yang not so much. Mood absolutely tanked. Mu pauses like he might explain, then just says goodbye, leaves the place in Yang Yang's hands, and tells him to deal with anyone who shows up. Yang Yang realizes Mu is only sending his soul to Earth and leaving his body behind, and worried, he reminds him that if something happens to the body, the soul on Earth dies too. Mu's already decided true to his Sigma personality, nobody in the divine realm would dare touch him, so the body will be safe. Yang Yang keeps trying to talk him out of it, but Mu brushes him off and goes anyway. Without warning, we cut away from Mu to someone else entirely who had just beaten the Demon Lord. The rush felt great, but it was only the ending of an anime. This guy is a 17-year-old loser named Lee Ho. Lee Ho is jealous of an anime's hero who ended up with a bunch of girls. Yeah, bro deadass watched Harem in Another World as his goodbye, and as the credits roll, he sighs. He lets his phone slip, it falls and shatters, and we see why he's standing on the edge of a 3-story building, already bruised and cut, ready to end his life. He mutters a bitter goodbye and jumps. Falling through the air, crying, he yells, if there's a god, prove it, send me to another world. He hits the ground hard, he should have died, but his body refuses, his fingers twitch and he starts gasping. Right before impact, God Mu's soul jumped into Lee's body. Mu wakes up inside a wrecked body, no idea what just happened. Lee's soul, meanwhile, lands in the divine realm, stunned to the towering dragon glaring at him, and the dragon looks just as shocked to see a human. A moment ago, in the divine realm, Mu taps the little earth floating in front of him. He isn't worried about leaving his body, he's sure no one would dare touch it. His dragon assistant tells him to think it through, but Mu brushes him off and launches his soul toward Earth, swapping with Lee. The instant Mu enters Lee's body, he realizes he's midair, no time to adjust, about to hit the ground. Then Lee's body slams into the ground. The pain is worse than anything he's felt in his immortal life, but the bigger shock is the confusion. Why did this happen the instant he arrived? His hands shake, then go still as it hits him, he's dying. There's no time to fix anything, but this isn't over. Muscles that work on their own like the heart are called involuntary muscles. Mu spent 3 million years training and knows the human body so well he can control everything, blood vessels, organs, all of it. Because of that, a few seconds after flatlining, he forces his heart to start again. It hurts like hell, but he pushes blood through his vessels, fixes his heart, and stops the bleeding. He slowly gets to his feet, and instead of getting angry, he's weirdly happy. Feeling this much pain tells him he made the right call coming here. Then he digs through Lee's memories to see what kind of life he just took over. He heads to Lee's place, his new base, but walking on those weak, wrecked legs is rough, so he uses his hands to help and moves on them to take pressure off. He finally reaches the house. He goes into the small room, sits on a creaky bed, and reviews what he learned. Lee has one male relative who lives far away, so he's alone, broke, and miserable, and the only thing he does is go to some place called school. What amuses Mu most is a memory of someone at school who seemed to have made bullying him their life's mission, always picking fights, always making his life hell. Mu sees it as the perfect starting point because he can head straight into a fight. He got so hyped he threw a punch into the air, and a sharp pain shot through his right arm. He figured it was from overusing his hands while crawling back home earlier. Lee clearly never hit arm day, so even small efforts left them sore. Instead of getting mad, Mu smirks. After thousands of years without pain, it felt good to feel anything. The next day, police investigates where Lee Ho's body had hit the ground. Mu went back there too, not for the cops, but because the 3-story building nearby was Lee's school. He walks in, scans the halls, and finds the classroom, but slides the door open way too hard, killing his big entrance, which drew a glare from a classmate who called out to him and told him to keep it down. Mu forgets the sting and walks right up to the kid, standing uncomfortably close. When it comes to fighting, Mu always waits for the opponent to strike first, to confirm their intent to fight, and his opponent does. The kid then freezes for a second, thrown off by Mu's creepy grin, and Mu hits him back, smashing his fist right into his face. Mu asks the bully to confirm it is him, and the bully replies, "What's wrong with you?" and asks if he left his glasses at home or is just too blind and stupid today. Before Mu can answer, he swings and nails him in the face. Blood runs from Mu's nose and mouth, dripping onto the floor. As Mu pulls his hand back, pain rips through his arm, a sharp reminder of his earlier muscle soreness. Their teacher storms over, yelling at them to stop, and the whole class turns to watch. Humiliated, the bully ignores everyone and charges. Mu throws up a guard and blocks his attacks. He thinks he'd have ended this already if his new body could keep up. He even tries to tap into his godly powers, but nothing happens, and that split second of distraction gets him punched in the face again. The bully isn't backing off. Mu's in trouble, no real strength, no kicks, no powers, so he goes with the one thing he can trust. He drops his head, lines it up, and takes the next punch on his skull. The impact cracks the bully's fingers, and the kid screams. Mu moves before he can recover. He grabs the bully's hand and drives his head forward, ramming into his stomach, maybe even into his balls, going straight for the weak spot. The bully doubles over, overwhelmed by the pain, and Mu isn't done yet. He wants to make sure this guy never forgets. Mu raises his head and slams it into the bully's jaw. That did it. The bully lies defeated. Meanwhile, all of his classmates have their phones up, filming the whole thing. Watching the weakest kid in school drop a second-year bully wasn't something they expected. For Mu, this was his first real fight in thousands of years. He'd thrown everything he had into it, and the rush felt amazing. Blood filling his mouth, the painful throbbing, he was fine with it. After so long, the sting of a real fight actually felt good. Now that the excitement fades, he looks down at the unconscious bully like he isn't done, sits beside him, and because the guy pushed him so hard, thanks him. Then he leans in, lowers his head, and bites the boy's ear off and spits it on the ground while the entire class stares in horror. Mu doesn't care what anyone thinks. He wipes the blood from his face and keeps staring at the body. That bite wasn't random. This was Mu's way of leaving a mark on an opponent he actually respected. People would later call those opponents Mu's playthings. Only the strong ones who gave him exciting fights made that list. Back then, being one of Mu's playthings was almost like a badge of honor, a sign you were tough. Mu's mark wasn't about shame, it was recognition. Word spread fast. A second-year bully got put down by the school's weakest kid. The part that shocked everyone wasn't just the loss, they said he basically got neutered. His condition was bad enough that someone called emergency services and they hauled him to the hospital. Mu watches, impressed by the speed of the treatment. As the ambulance pulls away, he waves, telling his first opponent goodbye and says he hopes they'd meet again. One of the teachers storms up behind Mu and tells him to come to the office. As soon as they get there, the teacher blows up asking if he's lost his mind and why he did something so reckless to his classmate. He even raises a binder to hit him, but Mu doesn't flinch. He actually looks excited, like he's already thinking about his next fight, and that look makes the teacher freeze. Not wanting to end up like the kid in the hospital, the teacher backs off and skips the punishment. He turns away and tells Mu to bring his parents to school tomorrow. Mu had braced for the hit, however the teacher dismissed him, saying he has to leave school early, every student's dream, and Mu just nods and walks out. On the way to Li's house, Mu turns it over in his head. Unlike other gods who know everything about their worlds, he doesn't even know what leave early really means. Maybe it just means go back to base. Either way, he decides to use the time to heal and train this fragile new body. His hand is shaking from the earlier damage and he wishes he could use his godly powers to fix it fast. Mana, the life force people in other worlds call Kai or Chakra, lets humans do crazy things, become hunters or wizards, whatever, but not here. Here he can't rely on it since on Earth there is no mana. Frustrated, he accepts he has built up his body the hard way. He reaches his place and collapses on the bed. Healing will take time and there's not much else he can do, so he decides to jump back to the god's realm to check on things. His soul snaps back into his original body. Right in front of him, Li Ho is choking Yang Yang, refusing to let it go. Li lets go, walks over, and tells Mu to hand the dragon over, fantasizing about how overpowered he would be in another world with a dragon. Mu isn't having it. He summons a giant hand, grabs Li, and makes it clear he won't be ordered around. Mu ignores his protests and drags him off. He's decided to give the kid a second chance in another world. They arrive at Lucifer's domain, the second-ranked god in the divine realm. Lucifer's focused on his planet, Elmer, unlike Mu. Mu strolls straight into his castle without asking. Lucifer's annoyed naturally and shuts them down before they can even explain. Mu doesn't care. He tells Lucifer to open the gate. He's sending the boy to Elmer. Lucifer shoots back as expected that Elmer isn't Mu's planet and he doesn't get to decide that. Mu leans in and reminds him who's stronger, saying he can do what he wants and can prove it anytime, anywhere. Lucifer has no choice. He knows he can't win this. Mu steps past him and touches Elmer's surface. Lucifer blurts out that this is forbidden. If a god touches another's domain, an unbreakable barrier will trigger, and sure enough, the barrier appears. Mu shatters it in seconds. Lucifer just stares while Mu says the universe's rules can be changed if someone really wants to. Mu opens his hand and releases Lei, telling him to step up and jump through the hole he just made into Elmer, no pressure. Li hesitates, clearly not what he imagined. Mu reminds him this is what he asked for and the chance is right here. Li, still wavering, asks again for the dragon so he can dominate his new life. Mu isn't having it. He refuses to hand over his own assistant and just blasts Li straight into Elmer's planet, forcing the ice sky. He grumbles about kids wanting everything handed to them then, with things settled, tells Lucifer to look after the kid and heads out. Lucifer, humiliated and boiling, can only dream about tearing Mu apart. His past isn't simple either. He was the first demon lord, the one on top of all life on Elmer's planet. After taking the crown as the strongest, he even challenged the god of his world. At the start of that fight, Lucifer called down a blinding light that turned into a massive sword and charged it at him. The god couldn't handle it and was cut in two on the spot. Lucifer took that god's place but he still wasn't satisfied. He went to the divine realm, challenged the other gods and beat them one by one until he claimed the top throne. A demon became the god of gods and everyone respected him. He was glazed by everyone. But it didn't last. Mu showed up, crushed him in front of everyone and shattered that image in a single day. That day, Lucifer swore he'd get revenge, saying Mu was a human born low-life. Now, while Mu rides his dragon back toward his domain, he has no idea a demon sent by Lucifer is tracking him from the sky, waiting for a chance to strike. Lucifer's preying on Mu's downfall. Back on Earth, the bully from Li's school wakes up in the hospital, still raging and wanting Li dead. He grabs his phone, hunts through his contacts and calls someone tougher to finish the job. Across the city, Kang Cheol-hyun, the youth middleweight boxing champ, is pounding a heavy bag when a loud ringtone cuts in. He stops and looks over as a blonde guy walks in, says it's his phone, and answers. That blonde guy, Kwak Cheol-hyun, a boxer with 2 years of experience. The bully goes straight to business. He tells Kwak Cheol-hyun he'll buy him a new phone if he does him one small favor. Hyung accepts the deal immediately. Next day in class, the bully strolls in like nothing happened. The room goes quiet, everyone's staring, then the whispering starts, people talking about how the guy who used to push others around looks pathetic now. He tries to ignore it, but when the jokes turn into people saying he got neutered, he snaps. He slams his backpack on the floor and yells he can still take them all, daring anyone who doubts him to come fight him. The class president, a girl with glasses, stands up and fires back, telling him to shut up or get out. It only pisses him off more. He loses it, grabs a chair, and goes to throw it at her to make everyone afraid of him again. Before he can do it, the door swings open and Ronnie Coleman steps in, asking what all the noise is about. The bully drops into his seat like nothing happened, fastest sit-down of his life. The teacher looks around, spots the class president still standing and clearly upset, and asks what's going on and why she's out of her seat. She doesn't tell on him. She sits and says it's nothing. Ronnie Coleman lets it slide, but tells her to see him after class, which leaves her wondering why. After school, she meets him like he asked. He says he needs a favor. Since she's the class president and someone he can trust, go check on Lee Ho, who is absent and isn't answering his phone. In return, he'll write her a recommendation letter for senior year. It's framed like a request, but she knows she can't really refuse, so she agrees. At Lee's place, looking like she just wants to get this over with. She goes straight to the door, knocks, and calls out. No answer. She hesitates, then tries the knob and it turns. The door's unlocked, so she steps inside. Lee is lying there in a filthy room with bugs everywhere. He looks lifeless and the shock hits her all at once. She screams. Thinking Lee was dead, she grabbed her phone and called an ambulance because what else was there to do? As Lee lays still, his body suddenly twitches. Moo has returned. He opens his eyes, totally disoriented, trying to understand where he is and how he got there. He feels something on his hand, looks down, and sees the 4-line feeding him some kind of nutrient serum. He studies the tube. He can tell something is flowing into his veins. He realizes it's nutrients, feels his body soaking them up and speeding his recovery. It isn't magic, but the effect is decent. The girl sitting nearby notices he's awake. His creepy smile made her think he wasn't all there, but she still asks what happened. Before he can answer, she grabs her bag and says she is heading back to school to report everything to Ronnie Coleman like he'd asked. Moose sat up and tried to stop her. He didn't know who she was, but he figured she was the one who helped him recover so fast. He wanted information. He yanked out the 4, kept his usual creepy smile, and asked if she knew a place where he could train and get stronger. Since he's broke, she suggested a simple outdoor gym at a nearby park. Moo went straight there and got to work, no warm-up of course. Looking around impressed, these basic setups feel like real training gear to him. It's been almost 4,000 years since he last set foot on Earth. He hadn't bothered to check on human progress as the Earth God, so even these basic workout machines leave him impressed. Back in his time, people trained with rough, inefficient methods. By comparison, this stuff felt revolutionary to Moo, though he didn't even know how they worked when a small rock hit his back and dropped to the floor. It was the bruised bully from earlier and he'd brought back up, his cousin Hyung, a professional boxer. Moo just sat down, couldn't care less about him, picked up the rock, and asked who threw it. The guy shouted that he did and bragged that his cousin would beat him to death for what happened. Before he could finish, Moo slipped in a quick punch. The guy hit the ground screaming, his already broken nose smashed again, and of course Moo couldn't have been happier about it. Meanwhile, in the realm of the gods, it was time for their regular meeting, but Moo didn't show up. His only assistant, Yang Yang, nervous, started to deliver Moo's message, but Lucifer cut him off, glaring and demanding why an assistant dared to step into a god's meeting and speak first. Panicking, Yang Yang explained he was only there to read a letter and meant no disrespect, then pushed through it with a shaky voice. As usual, Moo wanted to be notified if anyone found a worthy opponent for him. That was it. Lucifer slammed the table. As the second most powerful god, he was done with Moo doing whatever he wanted, skipping meetings and ignoring everyone. Lucifer wasn't wrong. Most of the gods agreed, but kept quiet. Lucifer said the meeting existed to keep their world stable and safe. Then the archer god, third strongest, agrees that if anything unusual came up, they'd have to handle it like they always do, same as always. Lucifer slams the table again and yells that Moo treats everything like a game and is pushing their worlds toward collapse. And on the rare times Moo steps in, he says, it only makes things worse. To prove it, Lucifer turns to the Cyclops god, the 9th-ranked deity, and asks if he remembers what Moo did 1,000 years ago when the Cyclops planet was about to be destroyed. A massive void creature as big as the planet and able to swallow it had started ripping it apart.